After 2 very long weeks of refreshing Paramount Plus, checking Twitter for any new updates, and quietly whispering member berries into the void, South Park's finally back for a new episode. And honestly, it was really worth the wait. We are eating good after the recent nearly 2-year-long hiatus, with the second episode coming out swinging just as hard as the season premiere. This episode, titled Got a Nut, does what South Park genuinely does best: juggle hot-button cultural topics with the grace of a drunk mime and yet still somehow land every punchline. We get an absolute wild blend of satire aimed squarely at podcast bro culture, ICE, and a few other political players who might have preferred to stay unmentioned. Which, of course, makes this all even more funny. But beyond the headlines, what really stands out is how this episode threads in subtle callbacks to previous seasons. Some blink and you'll miss it, others loud and proud like a Randy Marsh scheme gone sideways. Even if he surprisingly wasn't a focal point in this episode. In fact, he didn't even show up. And if you're anything like me, those references are basically verbal gold stars for long-time viewers. And what's even more exciting though is this season's trajectory. We're only 2 episodes in and it's very clear that the writers are locked in. The satire is sharp, the commentary is weirdly relevant, as usual, and the government is apparently paying attention. Because yes, this show managed to rage bait a response from the real-life political figures. And if you're new here, hey, welcome! I do deep dives like this all the time. If it's animated and has something clever to say, I will be breaking it down somewhere on this channel. There are going to be weekly South Park episode breakdowns coming as the season airs, plus a King of the Hill reboot video in the works. And it's not going to be what you think it's going to be about. And let's not forget October, I will be dropping my biggest video yet, so please stay tuned and maybe feel free to ring the bell to get notified. So, with all of that out of the way, let's dive into the absurd brilliance of South Park's latest episode, Got a Nut. Because, yeah, I was not kidding when I said we were eating good this season. It gets interesting and fast. This episode wastes no time getting to the point. We open at South Park Elementary, where a group of kids are worked up. Someone at the school is going around and saying awful, borderline hateful things. And naturally, Cartman assumes they're all talking about him because, well, of course he does. It's Cartman. If there's chaos nearby, he wants that credit for it. But plot twist, it isn't him they're talking about. They're actually talking about a podcast hosted by Clyde Donovan. Yes, Clyde. I mean, it kind of makes sense, especially given how he ends up in the South Park post-COVID special. But the usual background character, he's actually the one behind the inflammatory podcast. And because of that, he's quickly called into guidance and he's quickly called into the guidance counselor's office by Mr. Mackey, who is clearly trying to figure out just what the hell is going on. And this is where the episode does something kind of brilliant. Instead of going for some sort of vague kids say the darndest things, Clyde lays it out in plain terms. He needs money, and this is how he can get it. Being inflammatory, offensive, and controversial. It's a fast track to make some solid cash, especially online. And especially if you're willing to trade shame for sponsors. And speaking of sponsors, let's talk about today's sponsor. Nothing, I just thought it'd be a great place to keep a sponsor if I had one. Oh, then again, check out my Patreon. I have a lot of stuff on there and it's completely free. Anyways, back to the breakdown. Mr. Mackey, who up until now has been trying to wrangle a sense of order out of everything, pushes back gently. He talks about kindness, about how it's actually why he became a school counselor in the first place, to help people, to create a better environment, to make kids feel safe and understood. It's all very sweet and very Mr. Mackey. And then, right in the middle of this wholesome moment, PC Principal just drops the hammer. Mr. Mackey is being fired. And why, you ask? Because the school's funding is being cut by the government. Because Jesus is apparently doing Mr. Mackey's job now. That's right, they're continuing the last episode's addition of Jesus Christ into the school by making him do the counselor's job. And if I can be honest, I think they missed a golden opportunity. It would have been so funny if the janitor was also fired and then like a few scenes later we see Jesus sweeping the grounds or something, or taking out the trash. And maybe as the season goes on, he ends up doing more and more around the school. Lunch duty, math class, even principal. I mean, he already died for our sins. Is it really too much to ask him to oversee the science fair? Come on. It genuinely would have been such a funny follow-through. Listen, I know it's a long shot, but it would have been genuinely hilarious. And honestly, with how this season is shaping up, it doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility. So, after being kicked from his job at the school, Mr. Mackey does what any real responsible adult would do in this situation. Head to the bank and look into his finances. And this goes about as well as you could expect. Once he sits down, the bank teller breaks the news. Mr. Mackey's nut is $8,000 a month. And when Mr. Mackey realizes that he doesn't have any of the money, the banker tells him that he could just join the ICE. Because apparently, they're handing out sign-up bonuses now like it's the military back in a 2008 Call of Duty lobby. And if you recognize the bank teller, yes, you're right. It's the same guy who hit Randy and Stan with the iconic "and it's gone" in the episode Margaritaville. South Park loves recycling characters and faces for punchline continuity, and this callback is a perfect example of tight internal world building smothered in absurdity. But back to Mackey. Despite being hesitant, he still ends up joining ICE, which is disturbingly easy. The show makes it clear that they will just let anyone in. You show up, you get the uniform, maybe a gun, and a vague understanding of federal authority. Then you're immediately ushered towards the training room, which is just an onboarding video made by the head of Homeland Security, who I care so little about I didn't even bother remembering her name. There is, however, a really fucked up montage of her just shooting dogs, which I will only bring up very little in this video because holy crap. But also during the videos that bring people into ICE, South Park rewards longtime fans again by showing that guy from Make Love Not Warcraft actually become a part of ICE. Which is funny on other levels because the guy that character is based on is gaining some relevance again because his Nepo baby has had somewhat of a viral breakdown over video game preservation on YouTube, so that just adds to the layers. Also, a little bit unrelated, but speaking of that episode, Butters actually wants to play Hello Kitty Island Adventure instead, and now, as of 2025, that game officially exists. And yes, I play it. Say hi to my little bunny! Now say hi to my favorite Sanrio character! Okay, that's all for this ramble session. Bye! I'll see you guys in a second. Bye! Now, with Mr. Mackey officially inducted into ICE, we shift gears towards the other major plotline of the episode, the escalation between Clyde and Cartman, where Clyde invites Cartman onto his podcast, and this is where he's supposed to shine. This is his big moment. His platform, his audience, his time to take the wheel. But instead, he gets blindsided that Clyde is actually gaining profit from copying Cartman. Like, even down to the respect my authority tab, by stealing it nearly word for word, and that's a cartoon crime, I think. Like, in some states, I think it's probably punishable for up to 5 years in Hot Topic merch. And it doesn't just stop there. No. In fact, Clyde takes it to the next level and even starts hosting his podcast on the playground, debating all the other kids at the school about conservative hot button issues. But he won't get away with this easily, because suddenly Cartman comes in and beats the shit out of Clyde. Sorry, hold on. I gotta watch this part again. It's so funny when he just goes back in for a second fucking hit. Anyways, Cartman, now dressed like that one guy who has a really creepy smile. The guy from Family Guy, I think Kirk Cameron? I can't entirely remember. But he starts debating people at the school suddenly. And it isn't just the school. Apparently, it actually causes Cartman to debate bro literally everywhere. Even when he's on the toilet or when he needs to sleep. He's constantly master debating everywhere he goes and whenever he has free time. And usually, a good master debation makes anyone feel good, but doing all the time cannot be good for your health. And where does all this self-satisfaction finish off at? The Charlie Kirk Master Debater Award. Oh no, I got his name wrong earlier. Anyways. The winner gets an award and a luxurious 5-star resort vacation, and Cartman sets his sights on it immediately, believing he already has it in the bag. Until Clyde wins. The award, the vacation, the bragging rights, all of it belongs to Clyde, and Cartman is left absolutely stunned, humiliated, and outshadowed by the person who stole his personality and did it better without even caring or believing in anything he's saying. Now let's head back over to Mackie and his unfortunate federal career path. And his first assignment, a raid. But not just any raid. This one targets a Dora the Explorer musical. Yes, the children's stage show. Ice storms in mid-performance and even deports a person wearing the Dora costume. It's one of those moments where South Park leans fully into dark absurdity. It's awful, but the sheer over-the-top nature makes it shockingly funny. And somehow it gets even more ridiculous. When protests are forming to push back against ICE's presence and tactics, a news broadcast begins covering the demonstrations. One of the protesters makes a point that you'd expect in a heartfelt interview. There are good people out there. People so good, in fact, that some of them have even gone to heaven. Which is all the setup the show truly needs. In the next scene, Ice literally drives up into the clouds and begins detaining angels in heaven. It's an escalation that feels both completely unexpected but completely in line with the logic of the episode. If Ice can reach them, they will. And after the heaven raid, the dog killer, the head of Homeland Security personally approaches Mr. Mackie to praise his work. She tells him that he's doing a fantastic job and rewards him with a bonus. It's a moment that's supposed to be framed as recognition, but the punchline doesn't land until we return to the bank. When Mackie checks in with the same teller, he's told that his nut has actually gotten larger, and not in a good way. The more bonuses Mr. Mackie receives, the more his debt grows, which means naturally he now needs even more bonuses to keep up with it. Suddenly, the bank doors fly open and ICE agents storm in. But the twist? They aren't looking for a random customer or someone who works there. No, they're looking for Mackie himself. But it isn't an arrest. It's a promotion. Apparently, he will be going up to meet the president himself. Next thing you know, Mr. Mackie is on a one-way trip to Mar-a-Lago. And what's the new offer for him? Oh, just to become the new face of Homeland Security, nothing too crazy. Apparently, the other lady's face freaked Trump out, so out with the old and with the new, I guess. And the catch for this new promotion? Well, they don't explicitly say it, but, well, there's baby oil involved. Also, it's really funny to see that J.D. Vance got the light version of the Saddam Hussein treatment that Trump got during the season premiere. Anyways, Mackie nopes out of that entire weirdness quickly, and while trying to find an exit, he accidentally stumbles into a few wrong rooms before accidentally walking in on Clyde, who is clearly having a terrible time. And this is where Mackie's instincts kick in. He listens and he counsels, and for the first time during all this chaos, he remembers. He's a freaking counselor, okay? And with that epiphany, Mackie and Clyde manage to make a break for it. Oh, but they don't leave alone. Yep, Dora's coming too. Also, this episode ends kinda weirdly abrupt because when the Homeland Security lady comes in to yell at Trump for trying to replace her, her face falls off. And I know this is insane, but I thought it would be absolutely hilarious if, like, when the face attaches to someone else, they end up shooting a dog as well. Unfortunately, that was not the case because they bring the face back to her and they, like, for some reason start singing together. I think it would have been infinitely funnier if when someone else wearing her face was just going around shooting all the dogs in the area. And since the person is trying to, like, pull it off, they end up stumbling into a pet store and shooting all the dogs in an attempt to shoot the face off. Listen, I don't care what you have to say, I think it would have been really funny. I'm also seeing a pattern in how these episodes are ending, but we will get to that towards the ending of the season because it could just be these 2 episodes. We will just have to wait and see. Overall, this was very sharp, absurd, and the exact kind of chaos I'm here for. And if this season keeps building like this, I can't wait to see what happens next. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I will be making another video like this, so please don't forget to like and subscribe, and on you catch the side flip. I currently had to tell my mom to tame a bunch of feral kittens for a little bit, and I love them so much already. And until next time, stay animated. Bye!